What is up, a Fitter You community? Special shout out. We are here today at CrossFit Jammers. Alright. As always, guys, I want you to tune in to the website for more helpful tips and videos just like this one coming up right now. Remember, www.fitteryoutrainingsystems.com. Right? Be sure to check them out, as well as CrossFitJammers.com. The 1 and 2 are the same. Our blogs are loaded with helpful tips for you guys, just like today. And today we're talking about the shoulder joint. More particularly, how to warm it up in terms of a workout. I see far too many people come to the gym. First thing they do is plop down on the ground, hit a foam roller, and you don't need to do that. You've just maybe woken up, your day's been stagnant. The last thing you want to do is be on the ground. You have to get up moving, especially with the shoulder joint. Very, very similar to the hip joint. We're talking about a ball and socket joint. Fits in there, turns around, a great range of motion. With that range of motion comes susceptibility to injuries, right? Probably one of the most injured, heavily injured joints in any type of form of sport or physical activity, the shoulder and the hips, just because of their range of motion, right? So today we're going to talk about how to prep and how to warm this joint up properly and safely. If you are existing or have an existing injury, all right, these are some great moves that can help fix it. You should not be stretching the tissue if you have an injured muscle or injured tendon. You are looking to stabilize and strengthen the area around that injury, all right? So for today, we're going to start with a basic band for the shoulder joint. Our shoulder moves with rotation, up and down, back and forth, rotation externally, internally, all these different types of movements, right? So we have to address all those ranges of motion and make sure we're strong and stable through those range of motions. Starting with the band, I'm going to start with a basic internal-external rotation drill. You can use a pole, you can use a soup can at home. You don't have to be in a gym setting to do this. But if you're in the gym, ready to do some crazy heavy lifting overhead, you need to prep that joint, get that tissue loose. So what we're focusing on here, we're focusing on the rotator cuff. I'm bringing in and then back out. And you want a very, very lightweight, little bit of tension, right? Just enough to feel that shoulder internally rotating. We're working on internal rotation here of the shoulder. We're working on those rotator cuff muscles, all right? Particular feeling a little bit right through the pinch of the shoulder here, right in the bridge. Right where your bicep tendon inserts up to meet the supraspinatus muscle and a little bit of subscapularis as well. Strengthening those muscles and down. You want to try to aim for about as many reps as you start to feel a little bit of fatigue going on. There's no secret of how many reps per se. 10 to 15 is usually something good to shoot for, but you want to feel that muscle fatigue a little bit. If our little muscles, our stabilizers, our accessory muscles, are strong and ready to go, they can better assist our bigger muscles in large movements, all right? So remember that. You have to have a good foundation with those smaller muscles. The opposite way would be to turn around, to the side, and this time you're pushing the arm out, so it would look like this, out, out. You're going to get a little bit of tension, a lot weaker on this side, and you will feel the difference. Going out, this time externally rotating that shoulder. Focusing on opening it up, this time pinching a little bit of the teres muscle group there, stabilizing that shoulder joint. Once again, you want to make sure you work both arms and pick a rep range that's suitable for you. You should hit that 10 plus mark and start to feel a little bit of fatigue going on there. That's excellent. The joint's getting warm, the muscles are getting loose, the tissues are primed and ready to roll. All right? Next thing we're going to talk about, we have some planks here. 2.5s I have right here. You do not need a lot of weight. You really don't need any weight if you just want to start out, right? What we're focusing on here is just working the joint through a different range of motion, right? So there's a couple movements we're going to focus on in particular. One is the scarecrow. So we're going to start elbows up, just like we're about to do our high pull and some of our Olympic lifts. Coming up, rotating down, rotating up, rotating down. You can do this for a number of reps. I like 10, it's a solid number, easy to remember, right? And you're striving to keep those elbows parallel, not down here, right? Keeping them up and turning that shoulder in as far as it will go. When you're finished, carefully lower out of the movement. That is your scarecrow movement, right? The last one we're going to talk about with the weights, we're going to talk about a seated trap fly. So we're going to be in this nice position right here, and what we're going to be doing is nice flat back, right? I'm not bent over here, I'm not rounded to the back, I'm always braced and moving with a purpose, right? Set position, palms are going to face up, and all I'm going to be doing is lifting up and down, I want you to imagine a little pencil or a pen in between your shoulder blades. You're going to pinch that pen every rep. Make sure you breathe out at the top and in. Oftentimes we come under tension, and breathing can be the first thing to go, the first thing we forget. So once you have the joint loose, warm, ready to roll, then you can add things like your mobility drills. I have a lacrosse ball here that we're going to do a couple exercises with. But remember, if you have an injury, if you have an issue with the shoulder, the last thing you want to be doing is yanking on a band and distracting that joint, pulling it out. You don't need that right now, right? That's going to lengthen and aggravate the tissue. What we are going to focus on is some surrounding tissue away from the injury, right? Particularly triceps today. If your triceps, the back of your arm, are tight, you have 3 of those bad boys, hence tri, right? Triceps running up. You have your outer head, lateral, medial, and your inner head coming in right underneath. And if you notice, you'll feel different movements and different activations when you extend your arm. Primary role of the tricep is an elbow extender that allows us to do this movement right here, right? If they get super tight, they do innervate right up here in the shoulder joint. We do have to take care of that. It can get pretty nasty, it can get a little spicy. So one way we do that is get a nice platform right here, set her down right on the tricep. You can pick an angle. A little bit closer to the elbow is going to be a little more tender, right? You're never on the joint, always on muscle tissue. Further up, you might feel it differently as well. You have to move in circumstance and kind of figure out where that tightness is, right? So I'm applying pressure with my hand if I need a little more. Once I find a spot, I'm going to take that muscle through a range of motion. So I'm going to extend and then flex through the elbow and really try to let that tissue breathe and then hold for a little bit and search. If you've seen any other videos, you'll know it's not rolling out pizza dough here. We're not just la-di-da going through the muscle. We're searching for those trigger points. When you find that spot, you hold it there and breathe. You allow that tissue to get back to its normal range of motion. Right? So, quick recap. Whatever you're doing on one side, you have to do on the other side. Balance is the key here. Remember, when you're warming up, you're getting the body loose. You're focusing on the shoulder joint. We're getting the tissue loose first. Then we can add a couple mobility drills depending on where you're tight. If you go through this movement, let's say our internal rotation first, and you start to feel really tight on the outside, maybe tight on the inside, boom. After warm up, that gives you a signal that you need to work in there a little bit. Get the kinkiness out, get the knots out, right? That will prevent further injury, especially when we're doing pulling movements, any pressing movements, all the craziness that your shoulder goes through. Great ways to prep and prepare your shoulder. We will continue this series, focusing on different joints of the bodies in future videos, but for now, as always, be healthy, be a fitter you, and